So this is going to be my delivery slash after delivery and before delivery vlog, but I'm just going to sum up to when I had Hayden, because the news for after Hayden is the hard part. So it was, I think, the 10th when my contractions started getting really bad of September, and I went in to the hospital where my mom lives in that town, and they said that I wasn't dilated, but I was having contractions. They told me that they did not want to see me. They wanted me to go to the high-risk place, because if I had him where my mom lives, then Hayden would be life-flighted and I would have to stay at the hospital there. So they didn't want to see us be separated. So the next day my contractions started getting really bad, and something just was not right. Like, I felt a lot of fluid in my underwear. Realized I lost my mucus plug. So we went to the high-risk place. I was only 1 centimeter dilated. And I was supposed to be induced the next morning at 6 a.m. So they just sent me back home, which we weren't going to drive all the way back home because it's an hour and a half drive. So we just got a hotel for the night. Overnight, my contractions got really bad. We came in to be induced at 6 a.m. I was at a 2. They gave me the option if I wanted to start the epidural or if I wanted to take a bath and move before, because once I got the epidural, I'd be bedridden. So I decided to take a bath. I passed out in the bath and I woke up because my contractions were really bad. I think I was at like 3 or 4 by then. Around 6:30, 7 p.m. my boyfriend and my sister had decided to go down to get food because they hadn't eaten all day. They both left their phones upstairs with us and I was at a 10. I realized I needed to push, and my sister and my boyfriend both forgot their phones, so they weren't answering. Luckily, they came in, but when they came in, because this is like the scary part. So because of how high risk everything was, there was about 20 medical people in that room. I had my delivery doctor, a resident, so a teaching person or whatever he was, which he actually delivered Hayden. He was amazing. Hayden himself had like 6 or 7 people, and then I had like 10 people for me. It was nuts. But when my boyfriend and my sister walked in, they came in and saw about 20 people and were like, what the heck is going on? And I was ready to push. Luckily, they got there right in time. I was so exhausted and had no energy. I almost passed out. When Hayden came out, he wasn't breathing. He didn't cry, and so I was freaking out because he was supposed to cry and he wasn't crying, and it's because he wasn't breathing. So I probably got to see him for a second, and what I saw of him, it scared the crap out of me. Like, I knew that what he looked like, that's not what a baby should look like. Like, he looked dead to me. Like, it scared the heck out of me. I didn't really get to see him. They rushed him up to the NICU. I got ready and they were gonna send me to the postpartum room, but they said that if I could go to the bathroom by myself without problems, then I could go up to the NICU. So I was determined. I stood up and I went to the bathroom by myself. Like, I wanted to see my son. Like, nothing was gonna stop me. So I gotta go up and see him. They warned me that when I saw him, there was gonna be a CPAP on his face, and he was gonna have a whole bunch of IVs and wires, just to warn me. And he did. It scared me at first. Like, it just scared me. So I saw him, and it scared the heck out of me. we didn't get to hold him at all that whole day. That night, but we could touch him. And then my boyfriend took me back down to the postpartum room, and I slept until like I think 2 a.m. and then I told him that I wanted to go back up to see Hayden, so I did, and he had the CPAP was off of him, which was awesome. So that just proves that my son is a serious fighter. And then he had the O2, and I think he had a feeding tube also. Then I don't remember that. So yeah, that is just, he's had so many different things. I'm trying to remember which day he had what. But the next day I was determined to start walking, so I didn't have to wait for somebody to like ask somebody for permission to take me up to see my son in the NICU. Like, that was just not gonna happen. So I started walking and was trying to get my strength. So I started doing that more and more and more. So I would walk laps around the hospital. Like, I was determined to just get my strength back, which I did. We spent, so the next day, actually, we got some really bad news about Hayden. Sorry, I'm trying not to cry about this. So Hayden has a condition that only 1 in 50,000 kids get, and I'm trying to stay strong for him, but it's really hard. He has something called Zellweger syndrome, and it's terminal. So he has roughly 6 months to live because of it. So we're trying to spend as many days and times as we can with him, because he doesn't have long. That could be, I've researched it, and some kids don't live days, some kids live weeks, some kids months, but almost none of them live to a year, which is hard to think about. Like, he's now 3 weeks old, and every minute with him is just valuable, because I don't know if we'll have it tomorrow. So that's really hard. Not even that, but 1 in 50,000 kids get this. Like, this isn't like a common thing. The hospital that we were at, they've only seen 4 kids, and none of them have lived like past 4 months. Like, he's 3 weeks old, and we're already thinking about this. Like, he was in the NICU for 2 weeks. We got sent home Thursday. Finally, we had to set up hospice. So he has a hospice. He's on a feeding tube because of Zellweger. He has low muscle tone, so he has trouble eating. He has O2 because without that his stats start dropping. He just has a lot of different problems, and there's still new things that they're finding. Like, me and the dad, because of this, we can't have kids together. Like, and that is absolutely heartbreaking. But we have to go see genetics now because they found something else, so we have to get tested to figure out what it is. But it's just, it's hard. Like, when I look at Hayden, I don't see anything's wrong with him. I see a perfectly healthy baby boy. Like, he is 5 pounds 11 ounces of adorableness, and nothing looks wrong to him. When I look at him, I don't see anything wrong. When people look at him, they don't see anything wrong, but I know there is. He has lateral club feet, which I'm not even worried about. He his soft spot, you know how like most people's soft spot is just like right here. His goes from the top of his head all the way to the back. And the doctors say that it might close up a little, but it won't fully close up at all. He has kidney issues. He has acid in his stomach problems, so he has to take Bicitra every day, twice a day. He has to take vitamin D because he's lacking that also. It's just a lot. He has to have a special car seat. It's called a car bed. So it's like a car seat, but it's flat like a bed that he has to be in because he can't hold up his own head. He can't be in a car seat or else his stats will drop. Like, so everywhere we go, we have to have his oxygen with him, his feeding tube, his just a lot of things. His heart rate monitor, like, it's just a lot. And it's not something that I would want to think about, especially with my first kid. Like, most parents don't have to think about this. Most people don't have to think a week after they have their kid that they have to think about funerals and where they're gonna bury their child. Like, that's just, no. But we do. I know one thing is that this is supposed to happen for a reason. I still don't know what the reason is. Maybe it's just to show me how much love I can have for a small human, because I do. I've never felt this kind of love for someone so tiny in my life. So the thought of him dying is really hard because he's my world. Yeah. But the most irritating part about all this is that people are trying to say, oh, I'm your friend now because you have a kid that's dying, because your kid has issues, or because your family's going through issues, so I want to be your friend now and see your son. Like, no, if you weren't there with me in high school, if you were ever there for me, that's just not right. Like, it's for, like, you're just being selfish if you're doing that. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just like in a whole new phase. Like, I'm realizing how grown up I have gotten, and I don't have time to deal with other people's bullcrap and trying to pretend to be my friend because they want to know what is going on with my son. Like, that is just not right. My mom and my sister have done so much for me and Hayden. Like, it's crazy. So Hayden's on a tight every 3 hours he has to eat. So I do the 8 o'clock p.m., 11 o'clock p.m., and then the 2 a.m. shift where I feed him, which it's really like an hour long process because you have to do it and then you have to wait 45 minutes after you start it to turn off the machine. And then my mom or my sister, they rotate. We'll do the 5 o'clock and the 8 a.m. And then I wake up around 10 and then I start helping throughout the day. But it's like we're just not getting the sleep that we need. But back to the NICU, I can't even tell you how grateful I am for those nurses. Like, there's this one nurse, I'm not going to say her name just because I don't think she would want to be announced. But she made Hayden her primary. So every time she was on shift, she had Hayden. And I can't even tell you how much I appreciate her for everything she did for us. Like, her and this other nurse are seriously family. Like, I know I may not ever see them again, which I hate, but we're friends on Facebook, which is awesome. So I could like talk to them if I needed to. But they did so much for me and my family and my son that it's just like those NICU nurses have a special place. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't deal with like babies dying or sick babies or getting attached and just watching that happen. Like that's just hard. So I'm forever grateful for them and his doctors and nurses, like everyone. I'm just so grateful for. But yeah. So right now we're just trying to deal with financial problems because this is a financial burden on us. Not a burden, but I mean like we're just in a tight spot with money because of all his medical bills. We need diapers, we need like an NG tubes, and I don't know if Medicaid is going to cover all this. So it's just frustrating and overwhelming because I can't work because of it. Like, I'm trying to spend every minute possible I can with him before he goes, which I hate to even think about. I hate to think about, like, that I even have to think about this stuff. And it's hard. Because, like, it's hard not to think about it, but, like, I did this to him because I'm a carrier for this, and now he has it. And not even that, but he has a cyst. He has 2 cysts on his brain, and he had a stroke when he was still in me. And he has a couple cysts on his kidneys.